I suppose one thing that's got me thinking about reflecting on all this independent stuff is just how the world that we knew as advertising sales guys and managers back in those, the days of the mid 80s has just changed so dramatically. So I went on to the Times, and one of the roles I ended up after finishing with running the advertising on the Times was to launch the Times Sunday Times online. And back in those days, and this is only relatively recently, so 1997 or so, we didn't know what we were selling. We didn't know how to count it, and obviously that whole metrics thing has changed a lot since then. But one of the things I think is just so different is that that was the beginning of our whole industry fragmenting, and an industry that the Times, I don't know how old the Times is, but let's say it's 200 years old, and literally within sort of 15, 20 years that whole world is completely changed and it's fragmented to pieces. So the sort of fun that we had, and it was good fun, in those days, relationships with advertising agency, relationships with advertising clients. I would imagine that obviously still goes on in part, but it must be very, very different to the sort of world that we knew when I started out in 1975 at the Mirror. I'd imagine it's just incredibly different and probably not as much fun. But then I do remember when I first started at Mirror Group Newspapers in 1975, 76. The old guys would tell me, "Oh, the good old days have been and gone." So maybe that's partly me just being old and sort of saying that. But I generally think it can't be the same. It's probably all run off a computer algorithm now that matches distressed space for on a computer, and there's a rate, and it just somehow magically fills itself, which is very different from the days that we had. I mean, I don't remember how many deadlines we had on the Independent, but with 7 newspapers, or 7 days of the week. Within those 7 newspapers, there'd be a bunch of different sections that all had different close dates. Some had to go early, some had to go, later. The magazine on top of that, and all these various sections and stuff. We had probably for 7, 8 publications, we must have probably had 20 deadlines a week. And we were always, there was a chunk of advertising that would always come in that was prepaid. And that was basically how much was prepaid, what percentage really depended on, what the financial climate was at the time. So if it was good, then people would have buy early, so there wasn't so much distressed inventory at the end of the day. When things were tighter or your circulation was dropping, advertising agencies would just hang out and try and sort of get it at the best deal that they could. So it was a sort of real sort of dealer type world. It was a fairly harsh world, but it was a lot of fun. And as I say, I can't believe that it's like that anymore, which is a pity, I think.